Conversations with Elders, hosted by yours truly, Louis-Virie Blanche, welcoming you to Glastonbury Radio 432, where we will be TED Talking in tongues with the elders of all ages, all generations, all races, cultures, and creeds. All gender, religious, or political preferences will be honored and encouraged on Glastonbury Radio 432, Conversations with Elders, where it is our treasured pleasure to roll out the red carpet of golden liquid love light to you in honor of the Queendom Come, soul dancing free to life's heartbeat drum, in honor of mother, daughter, sister, lover, priestess, goddess, friend, sharing the blessings of love's perfect stranger, Deja Vu, welcoming you to Glastonbury Radio 432.
It's too cosmic, much too cosmic for me. Much too cosmic.
Aloha, hola, aho, hello. I say hi-fi once again.
Hi.
Hi-fi, my Dr. Mohsen brother is with us.
Yes.
So I'm inspired to share something with you. One of my first songs that I ever wrote was called Sun Song.
Yes.
And we were just talking about the vibration of the sun through the various hierarchies of, would you say, density?
The coagulation, or because density is very physical, but in the vibration, when it congeals and coagulates like our blood, congeals and coagulates, first congeals, then coagulates.
So there's a spiraling peristalsis process going on.
Yes.
And from the, what's best to describe it? The lowest level, the densest level, from the lowest vibratory level?
Yes, let's say from the lowest vibratory, and it congeals and coagulates. It becomes contraction. And then it goes decongelation and decoagulation and expand and contract. That's why we get peristalsis. Correct?
So beyond, we're been discussing laughter, color, light, and sound. So color is here, light is there, and then sound is below that in a sense.
Well, we can't say which one is below and which one is higher. They're all part of the spectrum. We can't segregate it. Segregation of creation is not a good thing to say, I like this animal more than the other one.
Right.
I kill a bunch of them, but I host some of them in my house.
Yes. So
segregation.
The spectrum of all field and flow, you might say.
Yeah. The spectrum of vibration, part of it is we receive it with this, part of that, the spectrum of vibration, we call it sound. Some of it, we receive it with this. We have different faculties for different segments of it. So we call it light or colors. And here, the smells, taste, and feeling. So it's all part of the spectrum of vibration.
And to get to that solar activation where the field and flow is really in its best means of giving.
Real, pure, and true. And that's the state that the prophets were there, that they were receiving revelation. So within the context of revelation, we can receive some of those because their revelations were complete. There was nothing short of it. God didn't send any short order.
I give you all.
Yeah.
All inclusive, no separation, all unified. Now, this is a process of unification, right?
Yes. Segregation and segmentation, fragmentation of anything in our perception and cognition is against creation and creator. So that's why we want to go opposite of that, which is unification. Because the whole creation is created for the sake and justice of unification, not segregation and duality and triality, polyality, and all that. All of them, the concept and the goal of that is unification. And once, when we get that state of unification, we get the state of bliss, as you have mentioned it many times.
Well, that's solar vibration. That's the sun song of creation.
Yeah, yeah.
In order to sing that in harmony with creation, we will eventually surrender
Yeah,
in submission to serving creation
yeah,
and
yeah,
all
yeah.
and creator in all creation.
Yes. So that is the state of bliss. I mean, provision more or less is provided to all living things. However, I become a hoarder. I'm going to come and take a lot of yours away. And his away. And hers away. And all of a sudden, I'm a billionaire. So there's a kind of uh, uh, equality and justice has been fragmented, segmented to make me richer and the rest of the people poorer.
So we betray the justice of nature by seeing
Yeah.
nature in a way that's not unified.
That's why the true joy of life for me, plants, animals, you, and everybody is in giving. The trees in the orchard give, they give so they may live, for to withhold is to perish.
And the sun gives to us in the realm that we live in here the ability to get in the most harmonious field and flow.
Yes, exactly. If you notice, that's why it's called synergy. Synergy has coagulation. It coagulates, becomes a fruit. It congeals, it becomes a living thing. You see that? So when that solar energy comes, we have fruits, we have vegetable provision. And if that provision is in a state of surrender, submission, and service to create and creation, it becomes blessed.
So when we go through this blessing of our existence and we have been gifted with ripeness, it's almost like an electromagnetic, we are ripe and overflowing with negative ions, energy. We are our aura, our field, our fingers, everything just emanates.
Becomes ripe, becomes, assimilative. When something is edible, it's in a state of assimilation. The birds don't touch the fruits until it's ripe.
I'm not going to accumulate any of that until it's ready to be assimilated.
Because when it's ripe and fresh, first of all, it's alkaline. Two, it has negative hydrogen. That energy that fruits and nature gives us, not positive hydrogen, which is free radical, but negative hydrogen. So it has attributes. You put electrodes around that fruit, it lights up. Now, so therefore, the whole perception, the whole goal, and if you have any other words for it, you are the songwriter. The whole destination of being, existentialism, is unification, because that's how we reach to the blessed. Let's say, that's why I found some of my notes from the previous workshops 10 years ago with Randy. It's when the colors, you see they have a spectrum colors. If you put it in a wheel and you turn, all of a sudden it becomes one color. It unifies. The light, you put it, as I showed in some of those slides, all of a sudden becomes, you can't call it color. So when colors are unified, it produces light. When the lights are unified, they produce vibration, like the sun. When the vibration are unified, here we are moving up in the ladder. When vibration are unified, they produce field and flow, that magnetism. Vibration, you can sense it, but magnetism, it's a little bit beyond ultra sensorial faculty we have. So it becomes field and flow. And when field and flow is in surrender, your mind, field and flow, and yours, if I'm flowing in the field, which is in surrender, submission, and service to creator and creation, in peace and willingly with joy, then that becomes true and pure knowledge. And that is the cellular knowledge. That's what prophets have had access to it. They had to unify until they reach that ultimate unification. And revelation is available in that level. Aspiration, inspiration, imagination, vision, and all that is in that level. So it's not like, it's just me and you. It's available to all living things. It's not
as an equanimity.
Yeah. It's not restricted to me and you, or he or she, or it's available to all living things.
So does that influx of solar inspiration,
Cellular.
solar inspiration?
Oh, so SOUL.
Yes,
Yeah,
solar.
yeah.
So it's the soul of the son of the soul.
Yeah.
Is the son of the soul the sunshine of
Yeah,
life?
yeah. The sun, the eyes of the soul and the ears of the soul. Ears of the soul becomes that high ultimate sound. Or actually, we shouldn't call it, it's a voice. There's a difference between voice and sound.
Yes, yes.
Voice is vibrational. It has rotation. The sound, sometimes it's oscillation, like the sound of a, let's say, sound of a musical instrument.
Mm-hmm,
Those are sound, but the voice, the mountains have a voice. The
mm-hmm,
trees have a voice.
mm-hmm.
Dom and Hur in Italy, they have put things, and they have recorded the most beautiful symphonical sound from the trees. In the forest, they sing together.
Yes, yes. So is there a voice of quiet stillness emanating from creation? We have to get on the wavelength to sense it and
Yeah,
feel it.
exactly. Yeah, we have to move to a different level to hear them.
Mm-hmm.
We have to move to a higher level to see. And
But
that's what,
once we've been initiated, it's almost like a baptism or an acknowledgement,
yeah,
an initiation of knowingness.
yeah.
And with
It's
that initiation of knowingness, we become more empathetic, more compassionate, more reverent.
resonate,
Yes.
and that resonation with all in a very equal justice. It
And
means
it
what? They're blessed.
and justice is a process of unification.
Yeah, exactly. Because the justice is achieving that level of unification. And then everything is just because you're in surrender, submission, and service to creator and creation. Now, if those who cannot see or sense the relation between creator and creation in all this, they cannot also see, they are the one who have failed to see the relationship between this earthly life and the next life.
They fail to see the differentiation between.
This life and next life, like mean eternal life.
Mm-hmm.
So they cannot see that attribute of transnaturization. Just like season, we are seasoning from this life, earthly life, to eternal life, which is also a higher level of life, which we use our solar faculties.
Well, isn't that a way of speaking of the soul's eternity?
Exactly. There is nothing, because that all of a sudden from this the space of earthly life, which is everything in our perception and cognition, we are kind of confined to time and space. All of a sudden we go to a different, higher level of life if we have acquired the knowledge between this and that. Otherwise, it's like going to another country, we don't know the language, we are very stressed. If we
Mm-hmm.
go to another country, we don't have the currency, we
Mm-hmm.
are in trouble. Same thing, if we don't have the knowledge, the currency of the knowledge, or the currency or the dialect of the speaking, when we go next life, we are in a lot of stress. We are in confinement of the grave.
So if we happen to get lost and travel to another country and we don't know where we are,
Yeah.
we may not speak the language or know how to use our five senses
Yeah.
to communicate, but we have to sense the vibration of the people,
Yeah.
the vibration
We
of the
have
things,
yeah.
and
We
listen
haven't
to the voice of
educated.
intuition, right?
Yes, because we have right now in this life is probationary time. We haven't educated our cellular vision. We
Mm-hmm.
haven't educated our cellular vision, imagination. So if we haven't trained them, we go there, we are illiterate. So that transnaturalization becomes very stressful. So we become very scared of death instead of thinking it's a bless.
So we're relying on a lot of towers to increase our cellular communication. If we were relying on our cellular communication,
yes, yes, yeah. you know, this morning about 3 o'clock, I was thinking about this by you, and I said, well, I don't have a voice to sing, and I don't know how to play any instrument. You know the lyric and the pitch, right? I mean, the rhythm and the pitch, and maybe I come up with a few humble rhythm. I mean, lyric, and we make a song.
well, I think that's happening because by osmosis, all of these wonderful discussions with you, it's really feeding my cellular understanding.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's belongs to everybody. It's not exclusive. That's why
Yeah.
now this field of knowledge of cellular knowledge that we reach that higher point by light unifying and vibration and all that, we get to that level, is not exclusive. It's not esoteric. It's inclusive and exoteric to all living things.
Mm-hmm. And it's, to me, it's like a very tactile living ecstasy to
Yeah.
partake in conversations with you like we're doing, because it really feeds my soul, the soul of my inner knowingness.
It's all field and flow is mutual. It doesn't go from one side to the other. It's always
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's circulate, and it creates
Yes.
a vortex between us.
It's reciprocal,
Yeah, it's vortational.
vortational. Back, never forget the rotation, vortation,
Peristalsis.
peristalsis.
Yeah. And so this becomes vortational, and that rotation, it gives us contraction and expansion to breathe with each other, breathe with the nature, because breathing is contraction and expansion. The motion of the blood is contraction and expansion. It's all magnetic here.
So if we're traveling, maybe we're blind, or maybe we don't know where we're going, we're lost, or like the birds and animals migrate, we follow a field and flow of something we sense beyond our normal senses.
Yes. So that's why we have to slowly move from this physical eye, the physical position, move to the eye of the mind, eye of the heart, eye of the mind, eye of the soul, ear of the soul, ear of the, so we get to that level. And that's what the state, all the prophet did to really to be preparing themselves
Mm-hmm.
to receive inspiration, revelation. So what they said, like IBM said, what I can do, all can do. That means, I am setting an example for you, so you can do it too.
Yes.
I'm just trying to teach you that.
Yes.
The same thing, Moses said the same thing. That's why when he went to bring the 10 Commandments, and then the guy whose name was Samiri, he started smelting golds and collecting golds instead of looking for the 10 Commandments. Same thing with Muhammad. So all of these, they had to go through that journey of ecstasy.
Mm-hmm. But what
Of
happens
blessing.
if along
So
the
they
way
can't-
what happens if along the way I discover this knowledge and I want to keep it secret?
Well,
And
you
and
don't.
then I have some of my workers, my priest, I have you do certain things for us to share little bits of the truth with you, right?
The minute I try to hold it, I won't reach that level.
Yes.
Because the true joy of life, the ticket for you to reach there is to give, not to hoard or
Sharing,
yeah,
cooperative, coexistence, synergy and synchronicity and
energy.
symbiosis.
And the centropy, the order of higher order. Centropy means moving to a higher order. Entropy means moving to a lower order.
Well, in Egypt, in say the 18th dynasty, Akhenaten created the understanding that the sun was the all emanating sacredness of life. And there's a lot of cultures that really, they don't necessarily worship the sun. Akhenaten wasn't into worshiping the sun, but he saw the sun as a life-giving source.
Yeah, Mithraism, they worship the sun. It was a Persian, what is it, the atheist religion, because they had the Trinity in Christianity. It didn't come from Christianity, it came from Mithraism, which was they have Trinity. So therefore, Mithra, sun, and the God, they were one. So that's why they adored the sun. They were sun worshippers.
Is that the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost?
Yeah, yeah.
There are different names for it.
Yeah. All of that, came from Mithraism, cedar tree, baptism and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The tradition of those people. The 25th of December was Mithra's birthday, not IBM. IBM was born on October 14th.
Uh-huh. Not everyone remembers the birth date of IBM.
But the guy who was most fascinated, his name was Charles Rundlet. What is it? Rundlet, yeah, Charles Rundlet Flint. 1911. He was very fascinated with the language of Aramaic. That's why he put Jesus's Aramaic name on his company.
Uh-huh. And there's something in the Aramaic, the vibration in the Aramaic language that gets closer to the essence of meaning.
Exactly. That's why the holy languages are in, and it's very similarity between all three of them. It's been Aramaic, Hebrew, and then Arabic. So those languages, they have a lot of common. There was a reason God chose those dialects, not French or the Spanish or English or any of that. Yeah.
Right, right. So the process of seeing life at this moment in time for people, there's a lot of, I wanted to ask you, a lot of people say there's a heavy polarization going on, but is the polarization the right word? It's really duality. It's not polarization.
Dualization.
It's dualization.
Dualization is what is separation. You create duality. Polarization is the true nature of the true essence of nature. Everything is in male and female. Earth has a pole, north and south. Everything has a pole. So you can't go and reject that.
But see, I hear a lot of people misusing that word when they say, oh,
yeah,
polarity and everything. We're in a polarized time in our culture, a polarized point in the human evolution. But that's really a convenient misunderstanding of what true polarization is.
They are using polarization in place of dualization.
Right. Right.
It's dualization, which is not good. Go ahead and dualitize nature. There won't be any more fruits. And we all gonna starve.
Well, there's a saying that the animals don't put a fence around the apple tree.
Yeah.
If they go to the watering hole, we have to take turns drinking.
Yeah. And they also, there is an issue. There was a scientist by the name of John Calhoun at Cornell University some 40, 50 years ago. He talked about, and he actually experimented with 4 different animals all along his career. Very amazing psychologist. And he found that everything in creation has a territoriality. For example, we have a flight distance. Birds has a flight distance. Then they have personal distance. And then they have a social distance. And then they have a individual distance. Now, even man and woman, they have an individual distance so that woman cannot come in and man cannot go in the woman. So that is called territoriality. If I don't respect your territoriality, I crowd you. I come and in your space, and because you need that individual space around you, I do too. Same thing at a wife and a husband. So that's called territorial and privacy. Every individual needs a privacy, but then we have a social distance. We have a marriage distance. We have a territorial distance, flight distance. And John Calhoun explored all that. And he realized that when this territoriality invaded among the four animals, one of them was deers, and then, cantaloupes, and also antelope, not cantaloupe.
Antelopes. I was picturing the running cantaloupe.
and sorry about my English.
That's a good one.
And then, when it was invaded, actually male and female, they didn't have any immutation toward each other. And all of a sudden, called it SJ curve of Jacob, their population density all of a sudden dropped. They wouldn't have any copulation to produce babies when the rate of crowding went up. And then he deducted that whole thing that's happening in the major cities, because all of a sudden he realized actually a male animal, they hanged around the male and female around the male. Female hanged around the female and male around the male. So all of a sudden they didn't have any immutation between the polarity of the society, their social structure broke. So that's why when the polarity goes, this is what happened. Back to where you were mentioning the issue between polarity and dualitization.
And right now in this time, this phrase social distancing is a big phrase.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see it correlate to what you just shared, because, they say distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Yes.
When you're away from me and I love you, I'm going to be emotating in your direction.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, based on some findings, this 6-foot distance that we have to have is respecting your health territoriality.
Mm-hmm.
And the scientist that I mentioned to you, John Calhoun, I studied his work a lot because it applies to a lot of things in architecture and urban design. Our society, as it becomes more crowded, homosexuality becomes more, because male, they're not attracted. The polarity is broken. So instead of being attracted to female, female to male, all of a sudden becomes what he observed in the animals.
So he was interested in the proximity of.
The term he used was territoriality.
Territoriality, yes, okay.
Territorial, and he studied the concept of privacy, territoriality, and also crowding and population density. So all of that, you notice when our population density becomes very high, then I'm right on your neck. You're right on because you don't have a private space. You don't have privacy. I have invaded your privacy. And it happens in the animals. The animals can backfire.
It causes stress.
Yeah. So that's why one example of when the polarity is not respected. That means a male and female, they have a privacy. They have territoriality. If they don't respect, they butt head. Yeah.
So he studied the deer, the antelope, and what were the two other animals?
Mouse, and I forgot before. There was 4 different.
John Calhoun.
John Calhoun, Cornell University, psychologist, who passed away. But it was a very amazing study. He did over 35 years.
So what would you say Avicenna's contribution to this evolution of understanding?
The very major fundamental ideology of his was everything is host theory, not germ theory. This germ, let's say I'm hosting a germ in my body when they come, because everything is transitory. They come in my body and yours in and out. Now, if I invited by host theory millions of germs that are different pH than me, I'm hosting them. I'm inviting them in. And when they come in, I massacre them. So
and that's not a good thing to do. Don't we
It's a
want
holocaust.
to assimilate them and allow the
Yeah.
toxins to
Yeah.
follow a natural function?
Yeah. So what happens is this concept: what I put into life of what I take out of life of others, or lives of others, like for their well-being, territoriality, their um, freedom, or whatever.
Hmm.
If what I take out of lives of others will be taken out of mine.
Uh-huh. It's a
It's,
reciprocal process.
it's exactly as whatever I put into lives of others, will it be put into mine.
So if
So
your
that's,
thoughts, words, and actions are creating that type of field and flow, that type of field and flow is going to return to you.
yeah. Whatever I come and steal out of you, I steal a pencil from you, right? It will be taken out of mine eventually, because that's the omni justicism, quantum justicism in creation. I can't fool around with it. So if I steal a pencil from you, that pencil will be taken out of my life.
Is
Now,
that
if
an
I,
equilibrium of give and take?
yeah, yeah, it's actually equilibrium of taking the give and take, and what happens, it becomes homeostasis, emotional homeostasis, cellular homeostasis. All of those states, we need homeostasis.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, I steal something from you, it's got to be taken away from you. But unknowingly, without even mentioning it, if I put something in your life, it will be put into my life.
So if you're sharing inspiration,
Yeah.
and it creates a beautiful field and flow, people might find out that you like the color, what, salmon, seafoam frost, and
Seafoam green,
yellow.
yeah. Seafoam green, yeah. I mean,
Seafoam green, yes.
yeah. When we get into more details of the healing colors and the work of Dinsha, and you'll see that the seafoam green is the equilibrium, homeostasis color of all colors in creation.
Mm-hmm. And magenta is
Opposite of that.
opposite of that.
Yeah, we'll study, we look at some of the opposite color or complementary color. For example, if you look at three colors, we have blue, yellow, and red.
Mm-hmm.
If I take red and yellow, mix it together, it becomes orange, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, orange and blue are complementary or opposite colors. They intensify each other's presence.
And they
If I
produce
take, let's
green.
say, if I take the blue and red, it becomes violet. It becomes opposite of yellow.
Mm-hmm. Now,
So
is there a spatial relationship on the color wheel is there a color wheel that, like the gels, not the gels, but the glass and the full spectrum color you've been speaking about? Do you, like in music shows, we take gels and mix them together to get a
yeah,
certain pigment.
yeah. See, what happens is, originally there is about 4 lights, which is the light, but they're different than colors, because light has to congeal and coagulate to become colors. So now what happens, so color is a little lower than light, and then vibration goes higher than there. So now what here we have intermediary colors, let's say right between the two, as they try to go. It's just like twilight of colors.
Mm-hmm.
As we're trying to go to another, there's a twilight. That's why magenta, seafoam green, or cyan blue, and yellow, they use it in television or monitors. So because those are twilight colors. Previously, they used to use the primary. Now, what happens when you put all those together, Dinsha came about 9 different colors. And these are all numbers, and I have it here. Let me just show it to you. See, there is a book. I don't know if I showed you this book or not. This book has all the vibrational color.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we get to mixing it, there's another book of
And the
course.
title of that book is what again?
It's called Let There Be Light.
Let There Be Light.
I held it upside down.
Yes. Okay. Let There Be Light. And who is that by?
By Dinsha.
Ginsha.
Yeah, Dinshah.
Dinsha.
Yeah. See, for example, if I go, let's say, on the color wheel, which is 9, we can discuss this later. You see, this is, for example, let me see. Let's go the other way. You see, this is the very first color. That's why yellow is based to a lot of colors. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
And then you gradually go to a little bit more orangish. You see that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I used to produce all this. It gradually go to yellow. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes on and on. So we have about 9 different colors and 2 supplementary colors. Here, for example, you see this is a little more greenish.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you notice all of these gels, I have Avicenna name on it. Can you see it?
Back up a little bit.
In the corner of this
Oh,
corner.
oh yes, yes.
Because this was originally developed by Avicenna, as well as essential oil. Even today, they still use the same process. Because color, light, and any of these, the spectrum of sensory voice has different spectrum. This has a spectrum, this has expressed, all of them have the spectrum. So different part of any of these spectrum is dissonate the pulse of an unfriendly organism in the human body. So you get healing. Did I say it correctly?
Yes.
So any of these sensorial spectrum, let's say we have 5,
Mm-hmm.
any of those sensorial spectrum, it can dissonate, whether essential oil or light, or sometimes even sound. It can dissonate. This is the pulse of the.
So you're saying condisonates.
Yeah. See, this is pulse of the unfriendly organism.
Mm-hmm.
If you generate something exactly opposite polarity and equal magnitude, they cancel each other. That's duality. Duality. It's dualitization of the pulse of an unfriendly organism. We don't kill him. But since all of a sudden our body is not an environment for hosting him, like a cavalry they run away over the hill.
So if we actually we offer them the complementary extreme.
Yes, it's called opposite polarity.
Opposite polarity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, if this is the pulse, I generate exactly same magnitude of opposite polarity, like positive, negative. They cancel each other, so the vital sign of a living organism cannot be sustained in my body, so I'm not hosting it. So these are all original science of Avicenna. But he has an encyclopedia of all kinds of sciences. You can find all of them all over the place.
So where did this idea of free radicals come from?
It's the free radical. Our body actually produces free radical to fight germs.
Mm-hmm.
But the free radicals our body produces is different than free radical that we take from toxin.
Okay.
Our immune system is a free radical. It goes and fights and puts but what happens when external free radical, which is not based on our RNA and DNA, is entering our body, it doesn't resonate with our function. It's just like, it's exactly same synonymous to, they call what is this thing, they not I forgot the word. It's cholesterol.
Cholesterol.
No, I mean, not, no, it's one of the 5 amino acid. I forgot now. I'll think about it just a second. It's glutamine.
Glutamine.
Yeah, gluten. They say, oh, there's a movement say gluten free, that, yeah. But one of the 5 amino acid that the brain needs to produce hormone is glutamine. Okay, now historically, um, um, what was it? The father of Alexander, King Philip,
Mm-hmm.
wanted his son Alexander, to marry Cleopatra, to have access to the wheat of Egypt, which had high glutamine.
Ah.
Because it would get the strength and motivation to his soldiers. Okay. Now, glutamine is absolutely necessary. Now, however, most of the glutamine that they have in our diets and everything is industrial glutamine. It's deadly.
So that's why we want to be gluten free of it.
Yeah. But they don't make a distinction.
Ah.
It's just like they don't make a distinction between polarity and duality. They don't make a distinction between synergy and energy, entropy and syntropy.
And so the natural free radicals that our body produces from a natural function is different from the free radicals that come from outside ourselves.
Yes. That's why, like, for example, if you go to the milk of one animal is not compatible with the milk of another animal. For example, in some animals, if you give goat's milk to the cow or cows to goat, it may kill it. Because the protein multiplication in any of those animals are different. All of a sudden, a goat would multiply much faster than they were supposed to. Or giving it to human, the same thing. That's why the milk of one animal is not compatible with assimilative function, processing function, procedure, practice function of another species. It's a territorial milk.
Well, is there a truth to mother's milk being close to goat's milk?
Well, it's closer to the sheep milk or goat milk than to the cow.
Than to the cow, okay.
But it's not, a mother should be breastfeed their babies at least 2 years because it builds their immune system. It's a whole lot of other things, because giving it this powdered milk or milk of a cow or a goat or anything like that is not compatible. Their RNA, DNA, all the mixture, everything is totally different. It's just like our body has to sort out by RNA and DNA certain amino acid for the heart, certain amino acid for the kidney. Otherwise, heart would look like kidney look like the brain.
Well, now I know why I don't see a lot of women running around breastfeeding goats and cows. They don't want our milk. Well, we try to catch that cow and get some milk from it.
I mean, it doesn't really affect much, when you get older. But when the babies are, it has to be mother's milk.
Yes. Well, back to RNA. Cobalt blue represents
the N, because RNA has 3 components. One of them is called messenger. Messenger is like a template. For this heart, I need a template. I put this amino acid like this, making a strand to repair or renew it. So the messenger RNA is the template. And then transfer RNA. That's the one it has to go and look in the blood, make a distinction that this is amino acid is for the heart, this is for the brain, this is for hormones. So that's that part of that. And then the energy that makes these 2 things work, it's called ribosomal, or let's say it's called RNA blue or cobalt blue. So it's a cobalt blue. So that's the energy of those 2 template and transfer to make RNA work, do its work.
Well, I don't understand it completely. There's a lot of talk about the vaccines, the immunizations for COVID having a different type of RNA factor to it.
Yeah, because any pharmaceutical product, how can I say it? It's first of all, it's synthetic.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the whole concept of the medicine is to kill the germ or something. But in the middle, what they refer to in modern medicine as iatrogenic diseases, side effects. I take something, to fix my head, all of a sudden my back goes up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I took something to increase my sight, I lose my ass. Notice, for example, I take calcium and then I have to take Coumadin and Captain to dissolve and bring it out. So
Well, let's go back to your advice for cayenne.
cayenne pepper, yeah.
3 capsules a day, or how is it, teaspoons, or no, what did you
I take about let me explain a little bit about. I cannot take any hot stuff.
Mhm.
My body, but cayenne pepper, you can take even tiny little bit of it, and it burns your mouth. But if you mix it with yogurt,
Mhm.
I won't even taste it.
Right. But if someone were to make pure cayenne powder and make capsules, would 3 capsules a day be a good amount to
Yeah,
take?
I mean about 1 teaspoon. Yeah.
1 teaspoon.
Yeah.
And then MSM is
MSM 1,000 milligram per 30 pounds of weight. Let's say if my weight is 120, I need 4,000 milligrams. 4,000 milligrams is about 1 teaspoon.
and then what was the other ingredient? Was it salt, Himalayan salt?
Himalayan salt, because number 1 ingredient in human body is water. 98% of the nervous system is water, 94% of the blood, 85% of the brain, and 75% of the body must be sustained with water. Now, the second biggest ingredient is salt. And then the third is MSM.
MSM.
All living things. That's why I mentioned, the people, these guys didn't have any degrees or anything like that. They were a very primitive tribe that Dr. Ponus Papas went and studied. They knew how to harvest vibration.
Harvest
And these guys,
vibration.
so that's why the area which was Timbuktu, that now when they want to make fun out of something, they say, oh, he's from Timbuktu. But Timbuktu was the center of civilization. Now, these guys, they had the knowledge that every cell in human body has a nerve ending at the bottom of the feet and at the hands and around the ears. So they used to make a fire, right? They used to make a fire and the sand around it, and the fire was in. And when they slept, they stuck their feet into that warm sand, and it kept them warm all night. And at the
Wow.
same time, yeah.
How ingenious.
And Timbuktu was the center of civilization. And the backing of the money back then was salt, because salt was the most important thing.
That was the currency.
Yeah.
And it's
that's what it
interesting
was.
because salt produces a good current.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the people who do plating, if the current is not moving, they add salt and it goes, and then they will go plating. Now 37 miles away from the Timbuktu was a town that they just have archaeologists have discovered it. It's called Taghaza, Taghaza. These people, were amazing. It's way beyond Mayan or Aztec. These people had amazing knowledge of salt. So the whole town, the whole city was built with a very special shining salt that from far away, it used to shine, you could see it. And now what happens when the building with its salt, it has salt vibration. instead of all this toxin insulation and everything we put in the building today.
Mm-hmm.
Number one cause of indoor air quality, which is the fifth risk to public health, is indoor air quality, because we are using so much toxic material in building from A to Z, more than pharmaceutical.
So what was the gentleman's name in Timbuktu that you mentioned?
Oh, that's the person, that machine that PAPIMI. He studied primitive culture, such as around Timbuktu, Africa. And these guys, they had the knowledge how to stand in the lighting and ground themselves and get healed. So that's how he came up with this machine that was, you had seen it, that would
Right.
flush all the unfriendly organism out of the body, because body is not going to be host. And if you go to his site, the man who won downhill skiing, very famous one from Austria, fastest the skier.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years later, he had an accident, and he was paralyzed, quadriplegic, hands, legs, everything, in wheelchair. And he recovered it. And his pictures and all that is in his site. And a lot of also testimonies from all different scientists around the world.
So these people knew how to harvest vibration.
Yes. See, they had moved to that higher level of beyond this modern life, and very toxic comfort we have created for ourselves.
So they lived by cellular inspiration.
So there, yeah. Now, if sometimes you have the pendant that you're wearing, if you look, there's a lot of everything about some of that vibrational stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right here.
It's all in there. Now, what happened? There's a Milky Way that has been photographed many times by NASA, which is called NGC 2207.
NGT. NGC.
2207.
Okay.
And then there is another one, IC 1805. These are very Milky Way away. And you notice all those numbers from that Milky Way is in that pendant. That's why you see there's 114 pyramids there. It's not pyramids, or it's not any pentamid, it's pyramid.
Pyramid, yes.
Okay, and that's 114 million light years away. You're talking about light? This light from this Milky Way is amazing. It causes emotion when you look at that. I may have sent it to you before, but if you look at that, pictures of, if you put NGC 2207,
I have, yes.
Photograph of that. And then you see why that pendant, this pendant, is related to that, because it has the highest emotional force in Milky Way that we know of. There could be bigger.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And what a blessing that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want to say this. You have given us the ability to plant these seeds of inspiration so that we can harvest vibration.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I think each time we have these discussions, there's such a bounty, a blessing of inspiration to be harvested by anyone that's listening and becoming intrigued and wanting to explore further. Like they can explore John Calhoun, or maybe Walter Russell, Kate Baldwin. There's a lot of beautiful things. Avicenna. Yeah. Well, I call it soul food for thought. You've given us another evening of wonderful soul food for thought.
Yeah. It's just it's a matter of you're trying to reach to that point. Everybody reaches that point. It's not exclusive or esoteric to you and me. It's for all plants, animals, everything. So we come to that quantum blessing.
A quantum blessing.
Yeah, it's the state of highest level of cellular tranquility.
The highest level of cellular tranquility.
And then, homeostasis of the soul. in existence.
Homeostasis of the soul.
And there's one other word for it, I forgot what it is, it's just the homeostasis of justice, equilibrium of justice. Those are achieved by all living things, then everything and all will be in the state of bliss.
In honor of the unification of creation.
Yeah. Because that's the whole purpose. Everything is on this creation.
Yes.
To unify and enjoy that state.
Well, there's a sun song of constant creation emanating from all these conversations. So I'm thankful.
Hopefully you do the pitch and rhythm.
Yes.
And maybe I come up with a few words.
Well, you have. My cup is running over. I'm going through a increased spiral vibration in all forms and fashion.
Yeah, hopefully, as we get a little bit more discussed, if you're not sidetracked, we look at some of those principles of color and light, and then maybe eventually in about 5-6 sessions, we get into how these colors and these essence of essential oil and all that was selected by Avicenna, and later on it was followed and brought it to our living conditions.
Okay.
And then people can, just like these gels that I made, people can really apply it to their lives.
All right, beautiful. Well, each time we have a conversation, I review it to bring forth more ability to at least perhaps ask a good question every now and then.
Okay, I look forward for your pitch and rhythm.
Yes. Larry King, the interviewer, passed away this week.
Yeah.
And I heard him say something. He says, I never learn anything when I'm doing the talking.
Yeah.
So that's what he thought his main job as an interviewer was, not to do all the talking.
Yeah.
So our hearts have listened. We are very thankful for your presence again, Dr. Mohsen.
Same here.
And to be continued. Okay, my brother?
Yeah. Unity is the highest blessing.
Yes, indeed. Phi. Unity is the highest blessing.
Yes.
Well, that's it for here and now. But until we meet again, this has been Louis-Virie Blanche thanking you for listening to Conversations with Elders on Glastonbury Radio 432. Bless you.
Quantum physics in the kitchen sink, the energy that follows the thoughts you think. Quantum physics and the cosmic sea, laws of nature too heavy for me. It's too cosmic, much too cosmic for me. Much too cosmic, much too cosmic for me.